I'm John Plant, and I run the Primitive Technology YouTube channel. My new book Primitive Technology is out now. Ask me anything. Proof. What kind of mindset do you get into when out in the wilderness? A sort of busy working mindset, want to get things done. Other times just strolling looking for wood, rocks, clay, etc. I know you've talked about it before, but what made you decide to start this cool hobby? No computer games as a kid and access to a rural area. From what I understand, the projects you do are quite labor intensive and can take several months and several days at the project locations. My question is, do you bring any food and water with you from home, or is food and water readily available on site? No, it's about 15 minutes walk from home. Speaking of labor intensive projects, there are many copycat channels out there on YouTube by now. Especially the swimming pool video is posted regularly on Reddit. I think it's fake beyond belief / certainly not done by one man alone. But would it be feasible to dig one without any help, in your opinion? Still seems like a silly idea anyway. Even with help, creating a pool of stagnant water for mosquitoes to thrive in. The swimming pool ones use Portland cement and modern tools. I don't think they're doing the same thing as me, using only natural tools and materials. Some of them say in their captions that the cement is mud, but when it dries it doesn't dissolve in water, indicating it's cement, unless it's a special mud I'm unaware of. If so, someone might enlighten me. My questions: has any random person ever stumbled into your camp? Has your camp ever been vandalized? Some people come across them, but never any vandals. Mostly pig hunters. Wild pigs can be pretty scary. Ever come across any / had trouble with them? Yes, I've seen pigs all the time. The only trouble I have is they eat my root vegetables. One question. How close are you to getting enough iron to make a small knife, or whatever you are planning on making? Still working on it. Made a furnace at home, and made some iron this week. Need to replicate it in the wild, and then create the tool there. It's taking a lot longer than I thought it would. How much iron do you have that you made in the wild? Just a very small amount. It takes a lot of effort, because there is no traditional source of iron ore here. Instead I have to rely on iron bacteria. Hey John, have you ever been recognized on streets by some fans? How do they react about your channel and hobbies? And especially to the fact you can speak. Yes, I've only been recognized twice though. They react positively. They seem unsurprised when they hear me speak. Hi John. Whatever happened to the stingless beehive you put on top of your hut's chimney? They lasted for a bit then moved out of the log they were in. I probably harvested the honey too much. Those type don't produce much honey, like maybe 500 grams a year. Do you have a job? If yes, does it have something to do with primitive technology and history? If not, would you want to do primitive technology for a living if you could? And kinda silly, but can you speak? I had a job as a lawn mowing contractor, self-employed, before I started the channel. But since starting the channel I work full time on it. Primitive technology is my job now. Yes, I can speak, but just don't for the videos. Originally it was out of laziness and not putting narration in the videos, but then the silent format became popular, so I kept it that way. Oh man, I got so many questions. Like, do you have a strong Aussie accent? Do you live in a town or more remotely? How far from your building site do you live, and how do you get there? And how do you get electricity for your camera out there? Yes, a definite Aussie drawl. In a previously rural area that is becoming increasingly residential. About 7 minutes. Just charge it at home. Wondering where you get your ideas from? As in, how do you learn all these methods, and where / do you look for new ones? Do you replant what you chop down? Do you ever wear shoes? I get them from whatever interests me at the time. Books, or internet usually. Internet research plus trial and error. No, the forest just grows back from the leaf litter and seeds, because it's so hot and wet here. No, never wear shoes in the bush. How long does it take you to edit the videos for your channel on average? I edit as I go with the project. About half an hour at the end of each day's work. Then final editing at the end of each project. Question: would you ever consider hosting bushcrafting days / tours? My wife has always wanted to go up to Queensland and could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, learning firsthand all you do. Yes, I have considered it, but worry about public liability. I think there is potential for a primitive technology school though. Come to Queensland anyway, the weather's great, and there's lots to see and do. I should make a deal with the tourism industry here. Much potential for overseas interest in PT. It's a shame you only have a new video every month. Mind you, I can appreciate there is a lot of work to get to the stage of sharing. Any plans to release more frequently? I'll post when I have new stuff to share. I don't really want to post for the sake of it. Some of these skills take years to perfect and some of the skills don't even exist yet either. They are still theoretical and I have to prove them or find ways to scale them up. How do you deal with all those damn mosquitoes? Smoke. It keeps them away when you're sitting still and working on something. Hey man, love the channel. You make it look easy. Do you ever get injuries? I never notice bandages. I know if it were me and I was in the bush with no shirt or shoes, I'd be all sorts of cut up. I have many cuts and cracks on my feet. Sometimes I rest for a day for them to heal. I've nearly injured my eyes breaking up wood by smashing it over rocks. Always look away / close eyes when breaking wood like this. Other than that, just minor cuts, bruises and scrapes, but nothing serious. I got really sick when I was making the water hammer video and had a very high fever, probably from standing in water with dead animals in it all day. But it's generally a safe hobby. I haven't died once yet and hope to keep up this record. How many pairs of shorts do you own? Maybe 20? A lot. My questions: how many huts have you already built? How long do you use them each time? Are they close to each other? Can you create a map where the huts are, where the kilns are, and where the sweet potato fields are? This would be very interesting to see. So many huts I've lost count. Very few huts exist as they all have wooden components that get eaten by termites here. I need to make shelters from permanent materials, for instance stone, ceramic only, no wood. Right now it's just the last hut I built and a really dilapidated thatched hut. There are yams where the sweet potatoes were now, but I'll probably build a shelter there soon. I have 2 kilns, 2 charcoal makers and a natural draft furnace made from clay bricks at this stage, clustered together on the same side of the creek bank. How do you plan your huts? Do you have a fixed idea, or does this happen spontaneously? For example, whether a 2-sided roof or a 4-sided. Do you go home every night, or do you occasionally sleep in the huts? I plan the huts before building them. I draw the dimensions and figure out the lengths timber needed to measure them. I use my foot as a unit of measurement and convert it from meters. A reoccurring theme is usually building the wooden posts and roof first, before making the walls due to the rain washing mud away. Roof protects walls from rain while building. I've camped in the tiled hut, and it was warm in winter. I don't usually camp out these days though, and I should get back into sleeping in the huts again. I camped out in a tent last night though. It was good apart from lack of sleep. How long do you need per hut? 15 days. You should hire them out on Airbnb. 1 out of 5 stars. Great location but lack of Wi-Fi left us stranded waiting for rescue crew. Did you get ripped from the labor involved in your projects? Or do you have a gym membership? Do you plan on making any more overseas visits to show how other cultures get it done? Do weights in the garage. Gym is a waste of money. Not at this stage. You ever smoke a fat doobie in your hut? I generally avoid drugs. Not against other doing it though, just think I'd not get any work done. Might be good for generating ideas though. How confused do you think you will make future archaeologists? Not very if they see my videos in the YouTube archives and know the general area. Though seriously, if they saw things like the forge blower they'd know it had been retro-engineered from at least the mid 1800s technology. If it was things like pottery though, they might consider unknown trade routes in Australia until they were more able to scientifically date the potsherds. Do you ever get FOMO? Is there a Mrs. Plant in the picture? If not, what are your thoughts on this isolation? Fear of missing out. FOMO is real but I've never been bothered by it too much. I have a girlfriend now, but didn't for a long time. I also tend to get more done when not socializing. Some people deal okay with isolation, others really dislike being alone. Do you own a piece of land in the forest where you do your projects? Back at friend's property, I sold the other place because it was too wet and too big for me to maintain. So many mosquitoes and leeches there, really hard to keep firewood dry for pyrotechnology. Have there been any dangerous situations that you've been in while in the bush? Animals, injuries, etc. Just the occasional snake never been bitten. Watch your eyes though when breaking wood up. Splinters can fly at the face. Goes for flint napping too. Hi John, what made you start the channel? I filmed footage to show friends and family and then put it up on YouTube to make money. It was sort of like, hey, might as well. Maybe there will be a small niche audience. But then it became more successful than I expected. Your fingers often get quite dirty over the course of your work. How do you protect the camera you use to film? I don't. The camera is filthy. Luckily the Nikon D3200 is quite robust and hadn't had any issues. Just keep the lens clean with some cloth. I think the thing that really makes your channel so great is the videography, the camera work, the editing, the sound. Do you have any formal training in this? What were some of your inspirations for your style? No formal training. I just like setting up the camera and doing my thing. I will take some consideration in setting up a shot to make it look good. For instance, to see all parts of the finished project in one shot. I'll have the project in mind and start a storyboard in mind with all the parts planned out and then just film it. Human waste is one of the things that many forget to account for when doing this type of thing. What do you do to remove or safely contain the inevitable number 2 that comes up while you are out in the bush? I never need to as it's very close to home. When I'm far out in the bush, just dig a hole and cover it afterwards. Clean dry leaf as toilet paper, not stinging tree. Select wisely. Urine is good on a pile of leaves. Use leaves for garden compost the following year and they will have plenty of NPK fertilizer. Urine also makes saltpeter for gunpowder. Can't show this stuff on YouTube. It would get demonetized or restricted. Coddy's Lab had a great video on making gunpowder from urine and it's completely gone now.